What is up, everybody? It's your boy Hollywood AJ back with another episode of the Keep It 100 podcast. There were fights over the weekend. That's right, UFC 266 happened this past Saturday, September 25th, and it was a banger. From the prelims all the way to the main event, we just had nothing but exciting fight after exciting fight. From Dan Hooker to Nasrat Haqparast to Marlon Moraes versus Merab. I'm not going to pronounce his last name, but Merab, that was probably the round of the year. Just outstanding finishes, including Dalkus with an amazing right hand against the Russian fighter. That was truly something special to watch. It's actually really cool. I always watch the fights from the prelims all the way to the end. And seeing these fighters grow, seeing these fighters come into their own, and seeing up-and-coming stars on the rise is truly something spectacular. And it truly understands a level of revolution in these fighters. But I'm going to talk about the fights I predicted in my last episode. Now, I'll talk a little bit. I already talked about the prelims. I'm going to talk about the rest of the fights. Main card, albeit I did pick only 3 fights. I did have picks for the rest of the main card fights, and I went 2-3 on the night. So definitely not my best night. Only one time I went 5-0. One time, and that was back in June. So this fight was definitely truly something a little bit weird, because I thought I was actually going to get things right. I thought, hey, you pick the safe betting, then the betting will be rewarded towards myself. But it wasn't. It wasn't. It truly wasn't. So the first fight was Cynthia Calvillo versus Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade was truly one of those fights that, okay, we're going to feed her to this girl. We're going to get her out of there. Her reign at the top as a top contender is done. Boy, was I wrong. Cynthia Calvillo kind of was gun shy, hesitated to pull the trigger. She didn't seem like she was the fighter that we're accustomed to seeing, and Jessica Andrade proved that. And she also proved that, being a first-round TKO, that, hey, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. You know, she is truly still a force to be reckoned with. She was a former champ. I don't know if she could get back to being a former champ, but man, she made a statement win over a rising up-and-coming star in Cynthia Calvillo. So that was a good way to kick off the night. Second fight, that was Curtis Blaydes versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This was the fight I got right. Now, Curtis Blaydes, this was kind of a different fight. We know Curtis Blaydes as being more of a wrestler, being more of take you down, ground and pound, whereas Jairzinho was obviously the striker. The build-up was saying Jairzinho practiced nothing but wrestling defense for this fight. Just that, nothing else. And in this fight, Curtis took it down whenever he wanted to. But we also saw Curtis stand up at will, almost as if he had a point to prove. He landed really good jabs, but although Curtis did take the fight down and he controlled the tempo of the fight, he had a big old mouse under his eye that almost closed his eye. Not the most impressive win, but Curtis landed up getting it done by unanimous decision. And we just see, hey, Curtis Blaydes is like Jessica Andrade, where he's at the top, he's in the top 5, he just won't go away. His only losses were to Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. That's it. Other than that, Curtis has defeated anybody and everybody. And Jairzinho was added to that list. Then we had Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. The people's main event. Nick Diaz, I had no idea how he was going to fight after 6 years off. You know, was his timing going to be off? Was his speed going to be there? Was his jiu-jitsu going to be there? It was amazing. It was great to see. I mean, I was excited. Robbie Lawler fighting at middleweight. Didn't have to cut as much weight as he needed to, but I am just truly happy that these two guys finally had a rematch. And it was a fight that, hey, we didn't think we were going to get, but we finally got it. And Nick Diaz, after 6 years off, through 2 rounds, threw 336 punches. He was just just pepping Robbie Lawler. Nick Diaz was trying to touch you. Robbie Lawler was trying to kill you. And Robbie Lawler did not take one step backwards. And Nick Diaz was just pop. Just easy money for Diaz, landing terrific body shots. Robbie Lawler landed terrific body shots. It was just a true back and forth fight that, hey, anybody can drop now. It was one of those fights where if they keep hitting each other, anybody can drop. And that is what I love about those type of fights. Ultimately, in round 3, 44 seconds in, Robbie Lawler landed a check hook that buckled Diaz, sent him down to one knee, and that was the end of the fight. Many people were thinking, all right, Nick hurt his knee. No, nothing happened to his knee. I watched that fight again today. Nothing happened to his knee. Nick Diaz, and I hate to say this, trust me, it hurts to say this, but Nick Diaz gave up. He gave up. It wasn't because he ran out of gas. He got hurt and he got clipped and he just gave up. I never thought those words would come out of my mouth that Nick Diaz would have given up. If I would have told you that before a fight, you all would have thought I was crazy. But Nick Diaz simply gave up, and therefore Robbie Lawler won via TKO in the third round. He got his revenge after 17 years. Robbie Lawler has his first win since Cowboy Cerrone back in 2017. Yes, 2017, back at UFC 214 in Anaheim, California. First win, and it was against one of the world's most popular fighters. I like Robbie. It's a big win for him. And I just hope we see more of Nick Diaz. I just really hope we see more of him. We see him being active. Who knows? Maybe we get a trilogy fight between him and Lawler. I think that'll do great. And I think the story behind it all would truly be something to behold. Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy was the fight after the Diaz-Lawler 2 fight. And that was the other only fight I got right on the main card. And it was just too easy. Too easy for Valentina Shevchenko. She is one of the pound-for-pound best female fighters on the planet Earth. There's no debating that. Of course, you have Amanda Nunes, but Valentina simply just went out there and made it look easy. There's no other dispute. Lauren Murphy, nobody expected anything out of her. I'm pretty sure if you ask any analyst, any fighting expert, they had Valentina Shevchenko winning this fight. Not just winning it, but winning it in dominant fashion. Valentina used her kicks, used her jabs, started a combination with the kick, ended a combination with the kick, and it ultimately ended into her cracking Lauren Murphy with a left hand, therefore dropping her. Valentina took the fight to the ground and ground and pounded her into submit. And that was it. And my problem with this fight is that Lauren Murphy, she gave it her all. I respect her for stepping in there against one of the greatest female champions ever. But it seems as if her corner was giving her a little bit bad advice. Instead of being real with her, instead of saying she's down 3-0, she was given bad advice. They were saying she was doing good in the clinch. She wasn't. Anywhere the fight went, she was getting completely outclassed. And I just knew for a fact Valentina Shevchenko would win. And boy, did she win. 4th round TKO. The champ is the champ. Now, Amanda Nunes does have a fight lined up in December with Juliana Pena. And that fight, as I mentioned in my last episode, is going to tell us all of what will happen with women's MMA. If Amanda wins that fight against Juliana, then we might get to see a trilogy. Think about it. Who else is there to fight? For both of these women, who else is there to fight? I know Amanda did win the first 2, but the second one was really, really close. It arguably could have went to Valentina. But at the end of the day, we need that third fight to happen, but that is if Amanda gets past Juliana Pena. Then we get to the main event. It was a fight that I was really looking forward to. As a diehard fight fan, you want to see, especially all the improvements Brian Ortega has made. We need to see, hey, is Volkanovski for real, or were his 2 wins against Max Holloway a true fluke? I still think they were. More on that later. Now, Brian Ortega came out with the Purge mask, planning on purging Volkanovski. Trust me, I was there. I was ready for it. I was hyped. But, man, I don't know what to say. I mean, it just seems as if in the 2 title fights that Brian Ortega has had, he cannot pull the trigger for some odd reason. He just can't seem to pull the trigger. Now, the first 2 rounds, cool. He was kind of getting the feel of the fight, filling out the vibe, reading Alexander. The first 2 rounds went to Volkanovski, but they were close. Ortega was landing really good punches, using his jab really well. Ortega was landing the punches for points, while Volkanovski was landing the bigger shots, the more emphatic shots. And as the fight went on, that's how it went. Third round is where the submission attempts came in. Brian Ortega dropped Volkanovski and had a guillotine, a tight guillotine. So tight that even Volkanovski himself was like, oh man, I thought I'm about to lose the belt. And I was going crazy. I thought Brian Ortega had it because that is his bread and butter. If Brian Ortega gets you in a guillotine, you are done. I don't care who you are. But Volkanovski found a way to fight out of it. Then we get to the latter part of that round. Brian Ortega gets him in a triangle. A few grappling exchanges here and there led to an amazing triangle attempt. Another deep triangle attempt from Ortega, and that is also his bread and butter. That is truly something that nobody can get out of, like Brian Ortega's guillotine. But this just shows the heart of a champion on Volkanovski's side. He did not tap. Found a way to get out. Found a way to truly outlast Ortega's power, which left Ortega kind of gassed. And Volkanovski landed up getting back on top, sneaking out the back door after Brian Ortega tried using many back attempts to get on Volkanovski's back, and therefore led to Volkanovski just pounding Ortega in rounds 3 and round 4. The fight could have been stopped easily in between rounds. Brian Ortega could have easily quit, but no. Brian Ortega said, hey, I think I could still win. Nobody's getting me out of there alive. You're literally going to have to kill me for me to lose. And I'm just truly happy to see the heart displayed on both of these guys. And Brian Ortega landed some pretty good punches that had Volkanovski backing up in that 5th round. Albeit it was one of the 2 rounds that Ortega had success in. But Brian Ortega, man, has heart. And a chin. That guy can take some bombs. And he has absorbed more strikes in his last 2 title fights than any fighter ever has in one title fight. Truly something special to watch. A night like this is what reminded me of how amazing this sport is. And a night like that reminded me of how much of a diehard UFC and MMA fan I truly am. People are talking about this fight being the fight of the year. I don't know about that. Obviously, we still have more fights to come. We got the rest of the pay-per-views to finish out the year. But I don't think it was a fight of the year due to the fact of the scorecards. It was 50-45, 50-44, and 50-43, all favor in Alexander Volkanovski, still being our UFC featherweight champion. Now, that's the only reason why. Albeit Ortega did land great punches, had Volkanovski in a world of trouble with his submission attempts, and backed up Volkanovski in that 5th round. But due to the scorecards and due to the domination that Volkanovski had, he definitely had some 10-8 rounds in there. So you could give it a fight of the year based on heart. You could give it, I thought it was going to be a draw based on heart. In my honest opinion, you look back at Gray Maynard versus Frankie Edgar, where Frankie Edgar got dropped like 20 times in round 1. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but he got dropped many times in round 1, came back and won some rounds. That fight was declared a draw, but I thought, maybe that could happen here in this case, but the right decision was made by the judges, and Volkanovski is still our champion. And what's a fight night without a splash of Conor McGregor saying that he could beat Volkanovski, saying that he could kick his head off? I love that fight. Of course, McGregor still has to heal up, but as soon as he's healed, and if Volkanovski's still the world champ, I say you book that fight right then and there. But we all know Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez have a fight booked in November. That is another important fight for the division because that is a true number 1 contender fight, and it will truly show us and tell us who is the number 1 contender at featherweight. Max Holloway wins, he gets the 3rd fight with Volkanovski. Easy. But if Yair Rodriguez wins, he may very well be the one to leapfrog everyone in the division and get a shot at Volkanovski. I like the Holloway fight for Volkanovski, and Volkanovski said it himself. He doesn't have to take that fight, but it just shows the true heart and the true OG-ness of Max Holloway, and therefore he has that fight with Yair. But I think the Max Holloway fight, shall he get past Yair, is definitely the fight to make for Volkanovski because, like I said many, many times, I'll take this to the grave, Max Holloway won both of those fights against Alexander Volkanovski, and I think that 3rd fight, if they have it, will show all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment on what your favorite fight of the night was. Comment on what your favorite finish of the night was. And comment if you even watched the fights. Anything you want to say, go ahead. Put it in the comment section. Smash those like buttons. Run up the views. It's your boy Hollywood AJ. Stay blessed. Stay healthy. Stay safe. I'm out. See you on the next one.